All right, it's April 8th, 2021, and it's time for our favorite Dr. Schleitz's APOD game. Hopefully this is obvious to everybody. Who's gonna call it out with the most specific description to win the game? A moon.
Something on the moon.
The moon. So like a moon is like a satellite, and satellites are things that orbit. So if you think about a planet as like a satellite of the sun, no, that's stretching there. Yeah, it's not a moon rover, but not on the moon, but remember a couple of weeks ago, we had the whole press conference and there was like all the excitement from the engineers that have been working on this thing. The Mars helicopter, right? So this thing, you can maybe see like the tracks off to the side over here. So the car-sized rover dropped this guy down. I think it was an APOD just a few days ago where we kind of saw it was lowering it down. Well, it's since cleared out of the way. You also might notice sort of like a 3D kind of image there. So the description reads, the multicolor stereo imaging Mastcam Z on the Perseverance rover zoomed in to captured. That's a typographical error. I didn't misspeak. I'm just reading what it says there. So they've mistyped the word captured, should say capture, right? Zoomed in to capture this 3D close-up, get out your red-blue glasses, of the Mars Ingenuity helicopter on mission Sol 45, April 5th. That's only a few sols before the technology demonstrating Ingenuity will attempt to fly in the thin Martian atmosphere, making the first powered flight on another planet. The historic test flight is planned for no earlier than Sunday, April 11th. Casting its shadow on the Martian surface, Ingenuity is standing alone on 4 landing legs next to the rover's wheel tracks. The experimental helicopter's solar panel, charging batteries that keep it warm through the cold Martian nights and power its flight, sits above its two 1.2 meter, 4-foot long counter-rotating blades. So, 1 meter is like 3 feet. So these things are, 3 feet sort of long here. I guess about 1.2 something, so it's at 4 feet, right? So 1 meter is about 3.2. So 1.2 meters, 4 feet long. So pretty long sort of blades there. All pose the same questions to you all that I did to first block astronomy. So I had the e-learning students consider, when was the first powered human flight? When did we do that? Okay, on this planet. And then in-person students consider, when did human beings first have the goal of that? Like when did human beings first think, yeah, we want to fly? Okay, so e-learners, when did we fly? In-person students, when did we want to fly? I'll give you 30 seconds. I think it's somewhat cool that within your lifetime, this milestone is reached where you say, yeah, the first time we ever flew something on another planet, that's when I was in high school. We were even talking about it in astronomy class. So that's going to be like this weekend, a couple of days, we're going to fly this on Mars. But when did we fly for the first time here on Earth? Okay, so I think I posed that question to the e-learners. Any e-learner that can unmute their mic and just guess, if you don't know, or type it in the chat there. Let me take a look at the chat. No, there's nothing in there. So any ideas? All right, I'll transfer the question to the in-person students. Does anybody in class have an idea about when did we first achieve powered flight, or who did it? Enzo? Hot air balloon, I guess, is powered. I think a student at first block kind of said that too. So if we think about a hot air balloon, we are like we're heating up the air to make it more buoyant than sort of the air around. But once we're sort of airborne, there's no steering, there's no controls, right? So all a hot air balloon pilot can do is sort of heat the air up inside of the balloon more and go up higher. And then maybe there's like a stream, like a jet stream up there that sort of moves them. So hot air balloon pilots really have to look at the weather and say, okay, if we launch here, I could maybe make it over here. I was also telling first block a few years ago, I took my wife on a hot air balloon ride for her birthday, and it was a lot of fun, very, very peaceful, very quiet. But I was also telling them how I think in my in my adulthood here, I've since become afraid of heights. When I was a kid, that never really bothered me. But then I think after I had kids myself, it's like going to Busch Gardens for our, traditional physics field trips in previous years. It's like, oh man, roller coasters never bothered me, but now a little bit scary. And you got kids depending on your, existence there. So hot air balloon, I guess, is correct, but I'm saying like powered flight. So other like capable of steering. Your hot air balloons are sort of before them. And so that's a good answer, but not the one that I was thinking of. So I'm talking about like airplanes. No one knows the right answer. Just when was it? Even a little bit earlier than that, but it makes the point sort of, well, that it's not that long ago, right? So it's like, this is 2021. And I think the first powered flight was in like 1907, something like that. So the turn of the 20th century. The Wright brothers, where did they do it? Where did the Wright brothers fly the first airplane? Anybody know where in the world? Just north of here in North Carolina, Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Okay, so that's the place on Earth where the first powered flight was achieved. And about 100 years later, we've sent spaceships to nearby planets, dropped rovers on them with helicopters, and we're about to fly a helicopter on Mars. So it only took like 100 years to go from the biplane that the Wright brothers flew for maybe like 40 seconds or something like that, to supersonic space shuttles, rocket ships, sending rovers to planets. Pretty awesome. And that kind of shows you the way technology goes. There are these great leaps and bounds that we can make from time to time, and then small sort of improvements that really do improve the technology fairly quickly. Like I said, just 100 years going from a biplane to a space shuttle. When was the goal of human flight first, thought of? When do you think that was sort of an idea that people had? I tend to think it is ancient. I think that the first people that there were probably looked up and saw birds flying and said, we want to be able to do that too. And you think about Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks, and he's drawn these, different kinds of helicopters, sort of this goal of what could we build that would allow us to fly, sort of like the birds do. So that goal goes back probably thousands of years, but it was only in the last 100 or so years that we achieved it. And then within that 100 years, how much we've sort of advanced that technology. All right, we'll be looking forward to that flight.